So this is my double head power feed router table with special engineered dust collection. And this project has been an evolving sort of thing that started off and changed forms, and it's about to change form again. I developed this dust collection loop that encloses the router subbases so that fine particles don't go beneath the router table, and I collect dust above through the fence and below. And it's very efficient. It works nearly perfect. And I only use this machine once or twice a year, but it does generate an exorbitant amount of fine dust. So this PVC loop system is very effective at capturing all that dust, and this machine can run continuously. But it has a engineering flaw that, despite it working perfectly, has been quite a nuisance for me in the shop. Can you guess what it is? I've got this thing taking up space, but this thing is so big that I can't fit it through the door, and so it's kind of stuck here in the main part of the shop, and it just gets in the way. I can't really use it as a table, I can't really do anything with it, so it just sits in the shop and takes up space, and I'm tired of moving it around and working around it. So I'm going to reconfigure the dust piping. I'm going to take it all apart and have it function the same way, but I really overkilled the construction with this 4-inch PVC pipe. I have two dust ports, one here that collects through the fence, and then the other system connects the two loops together. And both of these router heads are adjustable, they move independently. So I don't know if this is going to be an interesting video or not, but I'm going to reconfigure the dust collection and minimize the footprint of this machine. I'm going to put actual casters on it instead of two little wheels, because it's still very heavy and I have to drag it across the floor. So here are the upgrades. I've got big 4-inch casters. I'm going to use 2.5-inch hose. I built this contraption many years ago as one of my earlier multi-part build series making this machine. And I think this is going to be part 6. And we'll see how it goes. So this is what it looks like without the fence. So I'm going to keep this dust port here. I'm going to remove this thing and just cut these off. That'll shave at least a good 6 inches off. And then I'll be able to fit it through the door, which is all I need to do. So I can just use this once or twice a year and put it out of the way outside of the main space. I've got a couple big projects coming up, some big countertops, and I just need all the space I have in here. Isn't that right, Joe? So my dust collection modification project was successful. I ran about a sheet of plywood worth of molding strips to make these frames here. And so now I can just do a quick test. I could tell that it was working just because I couldn't detect the dust, the fine dust that would go airborne from running these two routers continuously. So as far as I could tell, it was working just as good as the configuration before. Not too many chips on the surface and around on the floor. So it was able to function to get the larger and the fine particles. So these are all the PVC parts that I took off. Almost 50 pounds of 4-inch PVC with some difficult, intricate cuts. I just can't believe I spent this much time with the PVC. And the whole point of it was I didn't know how well this would work, and I was concerned about heavier particles building up in the piping. So I designed the PVC system so that everything was smooth and there were cleanouts that I could access to get the heavy particles to build up. So I'm just going to open this up and just see what's inside as far as how well the dust manifold box clears out the chips. So I can just take this out. I don't see any dust building up in the corners at all, which is a good sign. Very clean. So this works perfectly here. No complaints at all. So I can explain briefly how this works so well. And because the router is isolated, fresh air goes through the router, and there's quite a bit of airflow generated by this high-speed motor. And so the airflow from the router is assisting the dust collection and pushing the dust through these 2.5-inch hoses hooked up to the main box. And so I have two routers generating high-speed air that's pushing into the box in the same direction that the dust collection is sucking. And so all three of these motors, the dust collector and the two routers, are working to clear the dust, which is very efficient. And it's better for the router motor as well, because you get fresh air going through the router as opposed to dusty air, which is how a lot of router tables are set up. They might enclose the router inside where all the dust is circulating. And that dust can cause problems, electrical problems, can build up on the switch. And so I've had problems with that before, but with this configuration, the routers run with fresh air, and that's better. Better for the motors, better for dust collection, and better for your lungs.